Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Pedalshift Project. The Pedalshift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments around the bike touring lifestyle. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride, let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are at pedalshift.net/257, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109, and you can check Pedalshift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 257th edition of the Pedalshift Project. My name's Tim Mooney. Thanks so much for joining. Today, we are talking about day 6 of the Green Goblin Retirement Tour, which was the final day of cycling on the coast. Maybe just saving the best of the ride for last. But as you all know, I have a history of mechanicals on several tours a few minutes away from the finish line. Would that bad luck continue, especially with that chain of mine? Also, we close out this particular day with a campground chat with a few folks who were at Harris Beach State Park with me. So, enjoy.
Good morning. Day 6 from Humbug Mountain State Park. Actually, about a mile away. I'm at the day use area entrance. Just to get kind of away from folks. Had a reasonably decent sleep. I don't feel like it was as strong as the last couple of nights, but reasonably decent. And now is the big climb, if memory serves. About a couple hours to Gold Beach, which will bring me roughly halfway to Brookings, which is the end of the ride. Officially, that's where I'll end up at least. Still open question whether or not I'm going to do the border runner or not. Originally, that was the idea, as I mentioned last episode. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. If I'm feeling strong, if I'm feeling like yes, need to tag that sign, get that picture, whatever, I'll do it. But if not, it's so be it. I may be just as happy grabbing a celebratory beer at the brewery that I believe closes at 5, if memory serves, or at least the food truck closes early, and that was something that looked kind of interesting to me. So, I don't know, we'll celebrate in a proper way. We've got a little bit of terrain, a lot of trucks, as you can hear. If memory serves, the shoulder comes and goes a little bit, but this is arguably one of the most picturesque days of the entire coast. Just simply stunning. So really looking forward to it. The South Korean guy was in camp. I mentioned last episode, yesterday for me. And he is going to end up at the same campsite as I am, so I'll probably end up seeing him. But I think I mentioned this last time. Not a lot of people, very few people out here. So if you are thinking about doing a tour for the second half of the summer, you could factor that in. That may delight you. That may say, maybe I'll do it next year when there's more people. I could see both arguments. But the sun is out. There is no fog. It was warmer last night, I found. So I'm kind of covered up head to toe right now, hoping I don't get too warm. But I'm wearing my short sleeve and sun sleeves underneath my rain jacket. I wear the rain jacket for more visibility and kind of just to reflect the heat off of me because the t-shirt is black. So we'll see how long this works for me. I may end up peeling it off before the ascent begins. In any event, that is it for the early part of the day. I've got half a cup of coffee in me and a bunch of crappy sugary junk in me. So up the hill I go. I'm looking forward to taking a break up in Gold Beach because I do like that town. All right, more to come. Quick stop here by the Ophir Beach. It might be Ophir, might be Ophir. I am bad on the pronunciations this far south. Beautiful day, sunny, but the one thing I'm catching is some hella headwinds. The beautiful tailwinds that I had that were at least 15 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour plus for a good chunk of this ride are now straight in my face. And I wonder, although I'm not sure, if this has anything to do with, could be the geography, of course, could be that just we're curved in here by Gold Beach, or we got another heat dome coming. Portland's supposed to be triple digits tomorrow. Medford tomorrow. Holy smokes. You'll hear all about it on on the podcast. Perhaps this episode, perhaps the next episode, but I'm going to be riding in 110, it sounds like, 105 to 110 for a couple of miles between the bus station and the airport. So I should be really enjoying that after getting wind chill here. It's probably in the upper 50s right now with a pronounced wind, so it's probably in the upper 40s, low 50s. Nah, we'll call it low 50s, low to mid 50s wind chill here. So double that. That's what I get tomorrow in the feels like scenario. Off to Gold Beach. From Gold Beach High School, literally. I am about ready to take off. Just had a nice late breakfast, early lunch. I don't know what you want to call it, but this is it. Ironically, coincidentally, I don't know what, the bus that takes you from here to Brookings, the final leg of the Curry County Transit System. Well, that's not completely true because it does go into California, but the final leg that would have mattered to me as a matter of rescue is waiting at the Ray's grocery store. So, had I needed it, it was there for me. However, as I just mentioned to one of the commentators on on Insta, yeah, this bike is riding better than it's ever ridden before, which is sort of remarkable when all is said and done. I am fed. I am a little more dried out, and I've got some terrain to hit. There's one more real major climb, but a whole lot to see over the course of the next 30 miles or so. And this day is harder than I remember because that first part is no small feat. I also, as I mentioned, caught the headwinds, which is just unusual this time of year, any time of year, actually, according to one of the locals I just chatted with. But I think it's particularly true at this time of year. So I'm noticing the flags are kind of all over the place here. It might have been a quirk of the geography, but I'm hoping that I can get some tailwind help over the next couple of miles. At least not having headwinds would be appreciated when all is said and done. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Still unsure what my plan is once I hit Brookings. It's Harris Beach State Park is very close. It's literally right at the city line there. It's within a mile of kind of all of the, maybe a little bit more than that, but it's a very short ride to the Big Fred Meyer, where the bus stop is. What else is down that direction? All the fast food you could shake a stick at, the brewery that I had my eye on. So there's a lot of options for me, I think. Whether that's, I doubt I would bang out the California miles before going to camp. That just seems kind of silly to do. I think I may assess the California situation based on the winds. If there is a real sustained headwind for me, that means that I'd get a tailwind on the way back. But if that flips around, I do remember doing the border run last time. I just got my butt handed to me with the winds. So we'll see. It's not super long, as I've mentioned, but we'll see where I'm at. Because if I'm getting headwinds this whole way, I'm not sure. You'll forgive me if I don't do that extra mileage, but like I said, we'll figure that out. Really like Gold Beach. It's beautiful views. Got the cinnamon roll, as I documented on Insta, at the bookstore there, Gold Beach Books. They've changed it. There's now a more collectible and art show-ish vibe in the downstairs area, there's apparently books upstairs. So post-COVID world, that bookstore has changed a little bit. But the cafe is exactly the same. That's a must stop in my book. Then I usually head across the street to either Ray's or McKay's. There's two grocery stores here in town. Make sure that I'm watered up. Sun is strong today, so I reapplied my sunscreen, especially on my nose. It seems like that's where all the sun in Oregon is shining straight on my nose and my forehead for this entire trip. So I think I'll probably look a little peculiar when I return, but c'est la vie. So roughly 30 miles to Brookings and the campsite. It was about 11:30 last I checked. Building of homes happening here in Gold Beach. Good place for it. Beautiful views from where they're building those, by the way. And I forgot to mention, this is probably my fourth Trees of Mystery billboard that I'm passing. It's only 65 miles ahead. So, as we all remember, that's about a day's ride. And that's where there's the big Babe the Ox and Paul Bunyan, and it's such a tourist trap. We actually went there when we were driving through not that long ago. I mean, that was back in middle of June, and here it is end of July. It's only about maybe 5 weeks ago, which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Very nice seaside homes here in Gold Beach. Feels like it's kind of one of those towns that like could really blow up if things aren't careful. Blow up meaning it get really popular. All right, mile marker 330, Brookings, a mere 25 miles. Crescent City 52. No wonder I bang out the extra 20 miles at the end of all of this. Does make some sense. And just stunning coastline to come. So more to come. I'm about to go downhill, so rather than make you go through the wind tunnel effect, we'll catch up at least one more time, perhaps before Brookings, or maybe I'll just see you in Brookings. Taking a quick break here, not far from the summit of Cape Sebastian here, which is the last real big climb. Whew, boy, oh boy. It's also one of those ones where it's like, you go around a corner and you think you're done, and then it's like, nope, more. Nice wide shoulder here as well, and there's 2 lanes on the climb, so it's pretty delightful. Unfortunately, this is the portion of the climb here that is covered with trees on either side of the road, so I don't get the beautiful views of the coast. I believe those will come back on the descent, though. If memory serves, this is both of the big descents today are just tremendous, and looking forward to the second one, because that also means that this last big climb is done with. It's not that there's not terrain over the course of the next 20 some odd miles. It's just it's much easier to deal with comparatively. It's not as climby. Man, the sun is strong. Have I mentioned the sun is strong? Sun is strong. All right. Enough jibber jabber. Enough of that. I've hydrated. I found the one patch of shade in this entire road to cool off in a little bit. I'll do a little bit more of that and then continue the climb. Next stop, who knows? Some beach. About 13 or 14 miles until camp, and taking yet another break. I don't know if it's lack of fitness, definitely a factor, I'm thinking. Sun, definitely a factor. Or just kind of a rougher day. Headwinds are gone. Not getting a tailwind, but still. But these short, steep hills are really becoming as much of a hassle for me as anything, as the bigger climb. But I think I'm fine. It's just needing more breaks than normal, hydrating the heck out of it. Very grateful that I had the presence of mind to get another sports drink along with another bottle of water. I I wasn't super hungry, or I'm not super hungry right now, even though I've got a fair amount of food, quite a bit actually, sugar and otherwise. But just I'm in that headspace right now where it's just sort of like hydrate, and keep going. It's going to be really interesting tomorrow in the actual heat how things go. But as I mentioned before, there's only a couple of miles for that. I'm about to have another downhill, which is going to feel really good, I think, on me. I feel like I'm kind of drenched in sweat right now. I think before I go into town, just the timing looks like that. Let's see, that's probably an hour and change. That means if my watch would actually turn on, there we go. Yeah, they'll almost certainly let me in to camp that early. Jump in, maybe take a quick shower. Probably people would appreciate that, and then head in town real quick and maybe grab a beer or whatever, and then come back to camp and probably collapse when all is said and done. But yeah, I think California is starting to become less and less of a possibility today. It just, whatever reason, today is really wiping me out. And that, that'll happen from time to time. Routes that I've done before will go super easily. I've done this day where I've tacked on 20 extra miles at the end of it to get to Crescent City, basically. Now, the miles go really easy relatively soon. Things get flat, and if you catch a tailwind along with it, you can really pound out 20, 30 miles very easily. And this is just kind of the last of the really rougher terrain. So I'm hoping that that's the case. I can't quite remember when it ends, but maybe after this downhill, who knows? Maybe I've just licked most of it. But looking forward to seeing how I feel in a little bit, and seeing how the day goes in Brookings and at Harris Beach. A couple miles from camp here, I'm in Brookings officially, looking out at this beautiful, beautiful coastline, just stunning. For the last mile or so, I've been getting that weird snapback in the derailleur, that reverse sprung derailleur. It's not a huge problem, but it hasn't happened since I fixed it. It'll be interesting. I will go through this chain again. Maybe I'll just do it with you, just to see if that link maybe retwisted. Yeah. That's the culprit. Probably good enough to get me to camp, but I'll give that the gentle twist again. Funny. I must just mash so hard or something. Or it's just really weak and bad, and I shouldn't be cycling on it that much longer. But I think the Goblin gave me everything it could on this trip. I am so pleased with it. And like I said, I've got literally one more hill I think I have to go up, and then I turn right into Harris Beach. And then I think it's also a sign that California is not meant to be for this trip. So I think we're gonna just call it at Harris Beach and then downtown Brookings, and that'll be as far south as we go. But what a glorious, glorious view here. And I took a nice picture and put it in the feed. Should be in the show notes as well. But isn't it funny how that chain was A+ until literally a couple miles away from camp. Got pretty fortunate about that. Pretty fortunate.
It's gonna be dark.
All right, it's my final night in camp here at Harris Beach. I want to introduce you to two guys in camp here. Who wants to go first? Say your name, if you want.
This is Connor here speaking. Connor Weir. How are we doing?
And this is Lucas Kairaz from Rochester, New York.
Victor, actually, yeah. But you know, you're a Western New York boy. We can make this.
It'll.
I feel like that you do the trick. You say, "Oh, where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from Western New York, or near Buffalo," and then you go, "Oh, I'm from Rochester," exactly. And then you're like, "Okay, no, I'm really from Fairport," and you're like, "Okay." So that's how we went through the whole thing.
Kind of siphon your way down.
I feel like we have to be specific enough.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
anyways,
yeah.
I wasn't big leaguing you there, but anyways, yeah. So Harris Beach, we had this was the first real camp where I felt like there were like multiple people kind of doing the usual kind of like bike toury thing. So I thought I would share this with everybody tonight.
It's a true pleasure, I will say.
Yeah, welcome. I have not had anybody in camp on the show in it feels like years. I mean, like way before COVID. So thank you guys for being on.
We're glad to be here. Truly.
Real pleasure.
Connor's like leaning into the mic. It's like, yeah, we're very, very thrilled to be here. Thank you. So you guys are going all the way down to LA. Was that?
That's correct. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
LA is our end point.
And that's a beer.
And that is a beer, which we definitely drink. I made sure that both of them had a Freem before they left Oregon, which is my favorite beer of this fine state. So I could not let them leave.
We got the Oregon welcome.
You got the Oregon
from Tim here.
The Oregon goodbye.
We're truly happy.
Yeah. These guys are rocking out 80 miles per day, which makes me feel my age, which is awesome. But yeah. Where'd you guys start? I don't even remember.
We started in New Mexico on the Great Divide.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they just fucked around and did the Great Divide and then ended up here.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And do you have plans after LA, or what are you going back east?
Yeah, we're thinking we're gonna head back to Vermont. Actually, there's a gravel race known as the Super 8. There's a couple sections. We're probably gonna do the smallest section, 260 miles. It's a nonstop continuous bike packing route, and we're gonna just kind of see what we can do after biking, 5,000 miles.
I was just gonna say, let me get this straight. You did the Divide, then you're doing almost all of the Pacific Coast, and then you're gonna go back and bicycle some more. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. Why stop?
Why stop? Why should you stop?
Yeah.
Taking advantage of our post-COVID summers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And actually, for those of you listening, the Northeast is kind of exploding right now for bike packing. There's some great people doing some great routes out there, and Vermont, where we're from, has some awesome routes, and then New Hampshire just had a new route, and Maine also has a new route. All amazing, and they're all just super cool routes and with nobody on them. So it's a great spot for right now.
Vermont is like an interesting state because it's 70% unpaved, so there's a lot of gravel. Like, I mean, I think we're coming from a gravel perspective, right? So like, the Great Divide is all on gravel, and Vermont is 70% gravel. So like this race that we're trying to do on the what is it?
The Super 8.
The Super 8. It's at the end of September. It's like a 680-mile race, but you can do like subsections of it. So we're trying to do a 260-mile loop.
We're not that hardcore.
No, it's like the 680 loop would take us forever.
Yeah.
But it's 260. It goes through northern Vermont. And Vermont's like loaded with just gravel loops. There's the Gravel Growler, which is like if you like beer. It's a 250-mile loop.
Yeah, there's a lot of loops up there.
Is that a 2-dayer, or is that a...
No, it's
people
actually...
do it in like 4 or 5 days.
Okay, I was just like, how insane is this?
They do it in 5-6 days, but it's like a beer loop. So it's like you go and you're in northern Vermont, right? So not southern. This is up by Stowe and Burlington. I think you actually go to Burlington.
There's like a dozen or so breweries that this route is made. I don't know.
Follows.
I don't know if it was Joe Cruz or who made the route, but it goes through all these areas, and it's just all gravel, and you go through all these breweries, and it's just...
I think you hit like 10 or 15
It's a marathon
breweries.
of hitting breweries.
You hit like 3 to 4 breweries a day, and they're all like well-known New England breweries.
Yeah.
Everybody who listens to this show knows that I'm deactivated if I drink a beer in the middle of a day.
Right.
So this is not on my speed, but I celebrate.
It'd be like a 30-day. I mean, you might hit like 20 or so breweries.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wanted you to tell the story real quick, because since you guys did the Divide, about how you ran into the race and like how that you just guys tell the story, because it was pretty fun.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been following the Divide for a couple of years now. I think probably 2010, 2012, they came out with the movie Ride the Divide, which is kind of what put the spotlight on the Divide. And ever since then, I've kind of thought of it as just this insanity that I've always looked up to. And most recently, I got into kind of the long distance biking, and I reached out to a good friend, Lucas, who I'm now biking with. And with COVID, we decided not to leave the country. Originally, we were going to ride from Alaska to Mexico, and then eventually we settled on riding the Divide. And we decided to head from New Mexico north, and at a certain point, we started running into riders. And Lucas, you want to kind of just chime in here?
Yeah, I remember.
Nope, I have to add that out.
Yeah.
Some beer cans and restart.
So we were heading north, and the race, it's like the race is designed, the route itself, the Great Divide is designed behind, there was a race that, I don't know how long ago that the race was started, but
It's been around for at least, I'd say, 15 years, if not more.
and they ride from somewhere in Banff,
really don't
Canada,
Yeah.
and they ride south, and they go all the way to the Mexican border to a town called Antelope Wells, and we were riding north, and we started in May, and the race doesn't start till I think June, somewhere around June.
Is it late June? Yeah.
Yeah, and we were riding in Wyoming, and we were in the middle of the desert, and it was called the Great Basin, which is about like 150, 160 mile push of just like literally no trees, no shade. We were
Super
having
chill, no wind.
Yeah.
No wind at all in that part of the state.
I wish.
It's actually crazy because that day that we were, it was the first day that we were riding into what they call the Great Basin, and we had like 25 mile an hour headwinds, and we worked it out at the end of the day because we went all fucking day. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this podcast.
Sure.
We we went
Explicit tag.
We-
Burned.
right. We went all day, and I think we averaged 4 miles an hour.
That's incredible.
It was brutal.
We went all day, and like at the end of the day, me and Connor, we were destroyed. We ended up at this. There's one water source halfway through the Great Basin. It's like they call it the Great Basin because there's no water for about 140 miles except halfway in between at like mile 50, and then at mile like I don't know,
Mile 80 or something.
something insane.
Maybe
But
more.
I think it's like 50 miles without water, and then 50.
Two
miles.
water sources for about 150 miles. or
Yeah,
something.
and we were pretty destroyed. And we rolled up about like 8:30. The sun was going down, and I'm at this intersection, and this is like oil field roads. There's no one around, and I'm sitting there at this corner waiting for Connor to come up, and this guy comes up. His name's Brennan, and he had done 180 miles that day, and he was first place for the Great Divide, which is this race that goes the whole length of the United States and plus some in British Columbia. And he got off his bike and he was like, "Yo, man, what's up?" And he was just totally chill, and he had done so much more than we had done. I think we had done like 50 for the day, and we were fucking wrecked.
He was at probably close to 200 or something.
I don't know. He had done so many miles that day, and he was just like totally lifted our spirits, and we only went like 2 or 3 miles, further that day, and we ended up at a reservoir, which was nice. We were able to swim in the middle of a desert, which was amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, because there was like a blue reservoir, like not a blue, but like it was like a crystal clear reservoir that we
Yeah.
were able to swim at.
Yeah.
And we had left that morning, and hauled all day, and just I was broken.
Yeah.
I was pretty broken.
No, we were absolutely broken. I came up over that hill, as close to tears as I've been in a long time. And I lifted my head thinking I would be only seeing Lucas, who, I'm pretty comfortable with. And I saw Lucas and first place in the Tour Divide race. And I was like, son of a bitch. I got to put my big boy pants on here and just act tough. And he was the nicest guy, and he lifted up our spirits. And
And meanwhile, lead Dot in the whole race gets off his bike and like hangs out with
Yeah.
him.
Literally.
I love that.
And we had been
100%,
following him
yeah.
for a while
I love
because
that.
the race went off and not even like 3 or 4 days earlier, and we were
Yeah.
following him
right.
on the dots.
Did he end up winning it?
No, he actually came in second. JP, who is just a hardcore dude who's been in he's been in the race for a long time.
He's done it a lot of times.
Yeah.
He's
And we didn't meet him, but we were on the top of we were at the reservoir, and we got to the reservoir as broken people. I remember getting naked, jumping into the reservoir, because it wasn't a reservoir, it was like a cattle pond, pretty much. It was a glorified cattle pond, and we looked down the hill, and there's just a light coming through, and he was riding at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I see the light come up, and we're just like talking. We're like, dude, that's totally JP.
Yeah.
And we opened up, and I had like a bar of service, and I loaded it, and he was like 100, 200 yards from us.
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we were just cheering him on because
Yeah, we're yelling down the hill.
yeah, we know he deserved it, and they're both great guys. Yeah, it was totally cool.
So what's you're midway through? Like you're more than midway through
Yeah.
your trip. Like what's your big takeaway?
Big takeaway.
You got one?
Dude, it's, you start a journey like this, and it's like, because you start a journey like this, you start planning we've been planning this since we met each other 3 years ago, and it's like you don't plan something like this because no matter what you plan, dude, the plans are gonna change.
Gonna hit the wall.
And now the plans change day from day, and it's just like roll with what feels good with the heart, and follow the local knowledge because some of the stuff the local people have told us, and it's the little things along the way that really stick out to you, and kind of just meeting the people that you're gonna look back on, and that's really gonna stick out to you. The places are cool, but those connections you make with people, we've made connections with people in small towns, like Nick from Davenport. Shout out. He's a great guy. We're still talking
Nick and his
to.
Family.
Yeah.
I mean, we went through tomorrow. We're gonna roll into California, which is our 8th state, and pretty much every state that we've gone into has been like a new state for me. Coming from the East Coast, shout out to Rochester.
Heyo.
Heyo.
They're OC.
Yeah. Every single state that we've gone through, I mean, I've been like almost apprehensive to go through some parts of the West, and after this experience, like every single state that we went into, we met just like welcoming people with open arms who gave us good beta, who have never had a life full of biking. I mean, there are people that are so far removed from the biking lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, these are working people that are just busting it out day to day, accepting us into their houses, giving us good beta, giving us food, giving us beer, meeting cowboys in the middle of...
Yeah, and honestly, not to get political, but people that are probably have much different mindsets than us, but when you break it down at the end of the day, you're not much different than there's other people on the other side of the line, and it just comes down to just a good conversation where you can kind of connect with these people and realize that we're not that different from each other, and that sometimes just stepping out of your comfort zone can really connect you with someone who you think is a lot different from you, and you're really not that different from them.
Dude, super well said. You guys on Insta? You want to shout out your handles?
Yeah, shout out Connor Weir, CONNOR Check me out.
I'm gonna give you guys a difficult one. The Instagram handle is Luke, Luke, and then Kroz. It's QUEIROZ 321, because there was a lot of other Luke Krozes out there.
Which makes no sense, but hey. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being on the show, and I can't wait for you guys to see California, because it's gonna blow your damn mind.
Yeah, buddy.
Oregon was great, but it's gonna be good.
Yeah, we're excited.
Indeed.
Thanks for having us.
And as always, we like to close out the show with a special shout out to the Pedalshift Society. Because of support from listeners like you, Pedalshift is a weekly bicycle touring podcast with a global community, expanding into live shows and covering new tours like this fall's upcoming bike tour. If you like what you hear, you can support the show for $5, $2, or even $1 a month. And there's one-shot and annual options if you're not into the small monthly thing. Check it all out at pedalshift.net/society. On to the society. Kimberly Wilson, Caleb Jenkinson, Cameron Lean, Andrew McGregor, Michael Hart, Keith Nagel, Brock Dittus, Thomas Skadow, Marco Lowe, Terrence Manson, Harry Telgadis, Chris Barron, Mark Van Ram, Brad Hipwell, Mr. T, Nathan Poulton, Stephen Dickerson, Vince LaGreco, Cody Florchinger, Tom Beninati, Greg Braithwaite, Sandy Pizzio, Jeff Muster, Seth Pollock, Joseph Quinn, Drew Porter, Byron Patterson, Joachim Robber, Ray Jackson, Jeff Fry, Kenny Mikey, Lisa Hart, John Denkler, Steve Hankel, Miguel Quinones, Alejandro Avilas Reyes, Keith Spangler, Greg Towner, Jody Zeranin, Lucas Barwick, Michael Baker, Brian Bechtal, Reinhard Biggle, Greg Middlemiss, Connie Moore, William Gothman, Brian Benton, Joan Churchill, Mike Bender, Rick Weinberg, Billy Crafton, Gary Matushak, Greg Latoile Lopez, James Sloan, Jonathan Dillard, John Funk, Ronald Paroli, Dave Roll, Brian Hafner, Misha LeBlanc, Ari Messenger, David Grotke, Todd Grossbeck, Wally Estrella, Sue Reinert, John Lico, Stephen Granada, Philip Mueller, Robert Lackey, Dominic Carroll, Jackie McCullough, John Hickman, Carl Presso, David Neves, Patty Louise, Terry Fitzgerald, Peter Steinmetz, Timothy Fitzpatrick, Michael Azuski, Hank O'Donnell, David Zanoni, David Weil, Matthew Sponseller, Chad Reno, Spartan Dale, Carolyn Ferguson, Peggy Littlefield, Lauren Allensmith, Eric Burns, Thomas Pearl, Darren McKibben, and new to the Society, Richard Stewart and Dave Fletcher. And thanks also to all past and anonymous folks for helping make this show happen. Thank you for joining. You can find Pedalshift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedalshift Project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.